Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another video here on Cluiche with me, Séamus Brady, your host. I'm joined once again by Matthew Hurley, the Gaelic Statsman. We are going to run through all of the club championship action which took place over the weekend, especially the headlines: Errigal Ciarán beating Dr. Crokes, of course, in that epic All-Ireland semi-final on the Saturday, which was followed up then subsequently by Cuala seeing off Coolera-Strandhill. And today we had the All-Ireland Intermediate Hurling Final, the All-Ireland Junior Hurling Final, and we also had as well the second All-Ireland Junior Football semi-final as well. Guys, if you're new here, you know the drill. Get involved in the comments below. Let us know your opinions on the weekend's action as we go through the games. But it is massively important, Matthew, before we jump into talking about the matches and reflecting on the weekend's action, is really, really important that we pay a special tribute and pay our respects to Roisin Cryan, of course, who has tragically passed away. The fiance of Mayo footballer Conor Loftus, 28 years of age, and she's passed away in really tragic circumstances. Of course, Crossmolina were supposed to play their All-Ireland Intermediate Football Final this weekend against Ballinderry. The right call was made in postponing the game, because stuff like this is so much bigger than sport. And it's just an absolutely heartbreaking situation. Just the more I hear about it, the more I read about it, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And my deepest condolences go out to Conor Loftus, Roisin Cryan's family, anybody who is impacted, her friends, her colleagues, anybody who's impacted by this horrific tragedy. So from myself, all the best to nothing but good wishes to her family, her friends, and may she rest in peace.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's a tragedy to lose such a young person to a horrific event like this. Just obviously pay my condolences to the whole Crossmolina Deed Rovers Club, the whole Mayo GA community, the whole community of Crossmolina itself, and to Leitrim as well. She was a Leitrim woman, Roisin Cryan. It's absolutely heartbreaking, and my deepest condolences go to the Cryan family, to the Loftus family as well, as you mentioned, Conor Loftus as well, the captain of that Crossmolina team. Obviously, the right call was made to call off the game. As you said, much bigger things than sport happening right now, and yeah, like, it's such a tragedy to happen this year. It's a horrible start to the year for the community. Obviously, deepest condolences to the whole community, the whole Crossmolina community, the Crossmolina Deed Rovers Club, the Cryan family and the Loftus family particularly. May Roisin rest in peace.
Yeah, well said. It just echoed that again. Deepest condolences to anyone impacted by that horrific tragedy, and may Roisin rest in peace. We're going to move then into the games. So starting off, well, this one was an absolute cracker, Matthew. An absolutely sensational game of football. And guys, if you are new here, do get involved in the comments. Throw in what you thought about these games, your highlights from these football games, hurling games, everything like that. And what was your personal highlight of the weekend? Me personally, so far, Matthew, we'll jump in with this. What was your personal highlight of the weekend? Me personally, bit of a niche one, but it was the face of the Watergrasshill captain just before he lifted the cup. I've never seen a lift like that. He really did soak it all up before he lifted the cup.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the moments. In the same game, the moment really for when the Watergrasshill captain, as you mentioned there, Sean Desmond, the full forward, when his eyes lit up for goal in the last minute. I don't think anybody would have had a goal chance like that. And I think I would say, Séamus, most sane people would actually put the ball over the bar. But yeah. Sean is that kind of a guy. He mentioned in the Off the Ball interview, I listened to it before coming on here, he had the same chance against Carrigaline in the Cork Premier Intermediate Hurling Championship final down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh back in November, and he stuck it. That would have given him a lot of confidence. And once he was given that opportunity again, he was like, no, I'm not missing this opportunity. He buried it into the bottom corner. And what it did was, it effectively ended the game because Tynagh didn't have a chance to respond after that. So it was a brilliant moment for the whole Watergrasshill players. I think the reaction from the bench more than anything when the goal went in when one of the players actually upped it to the crowd. I thought it was brilliant, really, and it was just a brilliant moment altogether. You have to feel for Tynagh, obviously. They contributed to an amazing game of hurling and an amazing intermediate final. But what a win for Watergrasshill, and what a boost to Cork hurling as well. It's Sean Desmond himself. He's been one of the players that I'm saying could be in the Cork panel if our options were weak. But the reality is Cork's options aren't weak. They are getting stronger.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for Sean Desmond to get into the team, and Adam Murphy, who performed well at number 11 as well, to be fair. So what a performance from Watergrasshill. What a boost to Cork hurling as well, and Russell Rovers at the junior final, of course, as well. SARS next week. So yeah, it's just a brilliant win for Watergrasshill. But my moment of the week have to be the eyes lighting up for that goal. I don't think many people would have a goal chance like that to win a game in Croke Park, just like that.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you're right, and we'll definitely jump into that game after the All-Ireland Club Senior Football semi-finals when we review both of them. But you are right, because Watergrasshill had actually gone a point in front from Sean Desmond himself. He put them a point ahead, and Tynagh Duniry literally just went straight down the other end and equalised, just like that. So you knew that if he stuck it over the bar, that Tynagh would get a chance to equalise. Whereas if he had stuck it in the net, which was screamingly obvious to go for, and I do understand the thought process. Like, if it's at any other stage of the game, you do go for goal in that situation. If it's in the 65th minute, you go for goal. So I can understand why he was like, nah, I'm burying this. And especially in hurling, I feel like it is way more likely that you find the back of the net. Like, I just feel like, I don't necessarily have the figures or the stats. I'm talking to the right guy to have that backed up, but I don't even know if you'd have the stat on what is the kind of conversion rate on one-on-ones in hurling versus football. But just from the naked eye watching, I feel like the goalkeeper in hurling is massively an underdog in a one-on-one situation. Whereas in football, depending on the angle, you do often give the goalkeeper a decent chance of saving it, especially if it's a Cluxton or a Rory Began or someone like that has a lot of stature about them. But anyway, I'll quit the waffling and we'll dive in with the first game here. Errigal Ciarán 2-18, Dr. Crokes 1-18. The first All-Ireland semi-final that was on the Saturday. It went to extra time. Errigal Ciarán found a way to win. Now, I'm going to start this off by giving you credit for your prediction because, well, I'll give myself credit for my prediction too. Both of us agreed on this. We said that one of the key things in Errigal getting over the line was their experience of getting over the line in tight games. You have the Kilcoo game, they found a winner. The Clonaireann game, they found a winner. Multiple games in the Tyrone Championship, they found a late winner. St. Eunan's, they found a late winner against the Donegal champions. So time and time again, Errigal Ciarán had been to the well. And when Dr. Crokes pushed them to the absolute limit, Errigal Ciarán found a way to win. And some of their key performers, Joe Goose, the Canavan brothers, absolutely immense. Ben McDonald, I thought, was exceptional as well. Cormac Quinn, we mentioned he could have a big game picking up Tony Brosnan. I thought he was immense as well. And Errigal were fantastic. Dr. Crokes were fantastic as well. It was a brilliant game of Gaelic football. And unfortunately, there does have to be a loser, but credit to Errigal Ciarán on a brilliant win. And they're into their first ever All-Ireland Club Final. And
the first ever All-Ireland Senior Club Final for Tyrone side as well. So they're creating history. Yeah, they're creating history for not only their club but their county as well. And Doyle Morgan mentioned this on RT earlier on the year early on the season, should I say, that the Tyrone Championship has the tendency of being called one of the best, most open championships, most entertaining championships. But in terms of putting trophies on the board, and in terms of getting recognition, they needed to perform at an inter-county level, if that makes sense. And I think they have, in fairness, Errigal Ciarán, they've done their county proud, they've done their club proud. And you mentioned the Canavans there. There was a while there, it was the Canavans against Dr. Crokes. Like, the Canavans were the only scorers. Up to half time, I think, was what was it? Some sort of score. The Canavans this much, Dr. Crokes this much, the Canavans winning by 1 point. It was just like they were absolutely exceptional yesterday, both of them. Rory probably, to be fair, Rory probably wasn't at his very best, missed a few shots near the end, but Dara was absolutely exceptional. And I think I look back at it and I credit TG Carr for loads of stuff, brilliant coverage, obviously, of the games. But they missed a very, very important one. The Rory Canavan pass to Dara Canavan. They showed the replay, and then out of nowhere, the ball's in Dara's hands and he's through and goal 1-on-1. Like, it's absolutely, and I look back at the replay and the pass from Rory was absolutely unreal, and the quick thinking of him as well, because I think most, and we talk about sane players in the Sean Desmond incident for Watergrasshill, most sane players would keep the ball in football, pass it back, and maybe recycle, but not Rory. He's going to ping it into Dara, and what a finish that was, in fairness. And to be fair, Dr. Crokes, and I will say this about Dr. Crokes and the whole of Munster football in general, there was a tweet that went around at the start of when the provincial championships were starting at club level, saying that Munster football was irrelevant. Dr. Crokes have proved everyone wrong there, the doubters, the ignorance and things like that. They have produced a brilliant performance, let's be honest here. Tony Brosnan, Micheál Burns, Brian Looney was very good as well, I thought. Mark O'Shea around the middle of the park. I thought they were very, very good. They were well set up, in fairness to them. And there was periods when they could have won that game. And they were going into the home stretch normal time, going to win that game. And then Peter McCartan, and we didn't speak, even with the Canavans and the Ogus and things like that, we didn't speak about Peter McCartan. To do it in one game is exceptional enough to score a last-minute point under that immense pressure. To do it in 2 games in a row is exceptional. You have to give it to him. He's a really, really talented player. And I think Tommy Rooney from Off the Ball actually pointed out, if that was under the new rules, which will come in into the Allianz League in January 25th, Peter Oak's point would have been worth 2 and he would have won the game. So, like, that tells you all you need to know about how brilliant a point that was, and not that stage of the game, but just the point itself. It was just a brilliant game of football, and it's a great way to round off what was seen as kind of the bad rules of Gaelic football while we're moving into the arc of rules. But look, it was a brilliant game of football. Both sides deserved something at least. But Dr. Crokes can hold their heads up high. It was a brilliant performance by them. But for Errigal, brilliant performance. And they've done not just their club, but the whole Tyrone Championship proud.
I agree. And I would say the same for Dr. Crokes, because, as you said, that tweet coming in about saying, oh, you know, who cares, kind of who comes out of the Munster Championship, and that was kind of almost a sentiment. It was kind of seen as, yeah, it definitely was disrespectful. And I feel like a lot of kind of casual observers even would have looked at the Munster final between Loughmore Castellini and Dr. Crokes, and like, oh, I watched that game as well. And 40 minutes in, you were like, this is done. Like, there's absolutely no way Loughmore are coming back into this game. The minute that they were 4 or 5 points down, and there was a real sentiment that they hadn't really been tested properly outside of when they got out of the Kerry Championship. Rathgormack ran them really close, but the big challenges that you would have expected them to have, they found a way to get over the line relatively comfortably. And I feel like that kind of played into people expecting Errigal to get a relatively comfortable win, but it definitely wasn't the case at all. Running through this game, I've seen, you know, a lot of people saying on social media and everything like that, that this game in a sense was, and it was a really nice way to put it, but a lot of people were saying that, I think Tommy Rooney, was one who said it, but that this game, was like a farewell to the old version of Gaelic football. Like, that there was like a parting gift, that this is the old Gaelic football and we have the new Gaelic football coming in. This is the type of Gaelic football that we love to see. And this is kind of the primary reason that the new rules are coming in, so that we'll see more scoring, more attacking, everything like that. And genuinely watching that game, you would have been a brave man to bet on what way it was going to go. Like Micheál Burns' point just before the end, just before Peter McCartan got his point, you would have thought, is that going to be enough to push Crokes over the line? Like, Micheál Burns was absolutely unbelievable in this game, and him going off injured was a massive blow to Dr. Crokes. There were so many little things that just tipped the balance ever so slightly in Errigal's favour. But the killer score, the absolute killer score for me, was the Joe Ogu's goal. Just an absolutely unbelievable finish. Like, I mean, to kick it with the outside of his right boot over that way, arrowed into the top right corner. Just a sensational finish. And because it was a goal when the teams were trading point for point, it felt like more than 3 points, even though, because you're in extra time, you know, you've been battling for so long. They get a 3-pointer, and not only that, it's an exceptional goal. It's the type of goal that makes everybody in Errigal Ciarán jump for joy. The whole team gets a lift, and you just get a sense Errigal are going to win the next kick out. Are they going to score another point? So that goal really, really did give them a turbo boost towards the finish line.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was a brilliant finish, and just not just it was outside of the boot, but the distance out of it. Like, he wasn't even in the parallelogram when he shot it. Like, it was just a ball from the blue. It was a really good finish. And again, we talk about Errigal Ciarán players stepping up. Like, Joe Goose has now scored 2 goals in 2 games. A goal in each game against Kilcoo and against Dr. Crokes. Peter McCarron scored a crucial point in consecutive games as well. It's kind of, and the Canavans have been consecutively absolutely superb. So, like, the consistency level of this Errigal team is definitely going to be a good thing going into the final next week, because you get these you get used to doing these sorts of things, like a Goose scoring crucial goals, like Owen McCartan scoring crucial points, like Canavans getting them on their backs and things like that. Like I think that sort of element is going to be crucial for Errigal to win the All-Ireland Championship, because the more you do it, the more it breeds confidence. And for a Goose goal, it was just a brilliant finish, no doubt about it. Dr. Crokes defender did all he could to stop him, which makes it even more of a superb finish. There's no doubt about that as well. But give credit to Dr. Crokes. Like, you said, that was the clincher of the goal from Joe Goose. But to go down the other end and get Charlie Keating to score a goal and then nearly get into the back of the net after that, like, that would have knocked the stuffing out of them, I'm sure. Dr. Crokes for a Goose to score that goal, but they bounced back really, really well after that, and you have to give them a lot of credit for it.
Oh no, I think, guys, we may have lost Matthew for a second. Are you there? Okay, guys, I will take the wheel for a second because I think we're having some technical issues. I'm not sure whose side it's on. Could be on my side, could be on Matthew's side. But looking at the Errigal Ciarán versus Dr. Crokes game, and the next question I'm going to put to Matthew will be along the lines of just how important was Dara Canavan's performance in this game. So when Matthew jumps back into the call here, when Matthew jumps back into the podcast episode, my next question I'm going to ask him is going to be about the role of Dara Canavan. And personally, when you look at Dara Canavan, when you look at Rory Canavan, they're the first names that jump off the team sheet about the Errigal Ciarán team. They're the ones that you would expect to do most of the heavy lifting if they are to get into an All-Ireland final. And Matthew has just joined us back. But guys, to those that are watching, do throw into the live comments any questions that you have for me or for Matthew about any of the games from across this weekend. Matthew, welcome back in. The question I was saying there that I'm going to ask you is, when we look at the Errigal Ciarán team, obviously the first names that jump out are the Canavan brothers. But throughout this season, they have been matching those expectations time and time again. And we mentioned about the Joe Goose goal. And we're obviously in the process of giving Dr. Crokes the credit that is out, which we will come back to. But in particular, Rory Canavan and Dara Canavan in this game, Dara especially, he won player of the match. He got that amazing goal, which obviously his brother Rory set him up with the pass. You know, it's not easy time and time again to match the expectations that you have. And they have been absolutely, in my opinion, irreplaceable for Errigal Ciarán throughout the club championship campaign. And my thing is, when you look at the new rules coming in, these boys are going to give a fair few lads a serious roasting in 2025.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you look at, like, I counted in the first half, I think Rory could kick 1 2-pointer. Peter McCartan obviously kicked another as well. I think Dara kicked a few in this game as well. Like, these guys have been absolutely exceptional. Like Rory scored 47 points across the whole championship when he include Tyrone, Ulster, and the All-Ireland. Dara scored 121 from, or it's 121 from play, which is absolutely exceptional in his own right. It's a really, really good tally. And in this game, like Rory had 9 shots, he converted 7. Dara had 7 shots, he converted all 7. Like,
That's crazy.
Like
and he got one as well. He got one in particular where Gavin White was on him, and he just ran out to the wing and just cut back in, lost Gavin White, and just pinged it over the bar. And I'm like, that's Gavin White that he's just turned inside out and fired it over the bar. And his goal, Rory's pass and Dara's finish was just both exquisite. And like, especially with the new rules, they are going to be terrifying for any defender to come up against. The form that they're both in, and they're not even at their peak yet, which is the scariest thing about it.
Yeah, and you look at him, and the thing is, on the preview show that I did with Aaron on Cork season, I was asked to predict the All-Ireland champion earlier on this year. I know it's already on the year, but I said Tyrone would win it because, like, I felt like there's going to be consistency under Malachy O'Rourke. Now you have these two guys. You probably have Mark Bradley coming in. You have Owen McElhone as well. You have Shea O'Hare. You have, I don't know, what's called McShane coming into the panel more or less now. Darren McCurry. There's a lot of more players coming into the panel. Like, imagine having, under these new rules, the two Canavans, Darren McCurry, Peter Hart, Mark Bradley, Owen McElhone. It's just an abundance of talents. It's unreal when you think about it. And I feel like that would suit Tyrone down to a T, these new rules, because you have, like, if you have the two Canavans of McCurry inside, in the 3v3, they're going to roast any defence. And
I think the other thing as well, man, is when we were talking about the FRC games, I remember back when it was, being floated, and then like throughout right up until the trial games happened in Croke Park, one constant statement was, you're going to need a big squad for this, and the counties that have the big squads will do best with these rules. I think Tyrone have the best strength in depth. You could argue of anyone. Like, genuinely, like, Dublin have lost a huge amount now with McCarthy and Fenton and players like that going. Tyrone have such strength and depth. Like, as you were mentioning there, McCurry, McElhone, the Canavans, if Maddie Donnelly's up for another year, Conor Myler, Kieran McGeary, Peter Hart, like Cathal McShane, they have a completely different problem in how on earth do you pick 6 forwards out of that lot. But now with these rules, and the extra strain that will be put on the players to run more, work harder in terms of their attacking output, Tyrone might be in a fantastic position compared to other counties at their level.
Yeah, exactly. So, and because another forward I forgot to mention that performed well at the Sigerson Cup last week for us to University, Conor Cush. Where's he going to fit in?
There's another one.
Like, it's just an abundance of talent. It really is. And I feel like Tyrone are in a really, really good place when you look at it. And a lot of people mentioning Donegal and Michael Murphy coming back and all that. My thing with Tyrone over Donegal, and it's not anything to do with style of play or commitment and stuff like that. It's because of the abundance of talents. Do Donegal have the same abundance of talent that Tyrone have, player for player now? Not looking at last season's performances. The answer is Tyrone have a much better plethora of options than Donegal do at this present moment in time. They're much better than Derry at the moment. Kerry might do well under the new rules. Dublin, definitely. I think they have much better talent than Dublin as well. I think they have much better talent than Mayo. So, I know they have a manager, Malachy O'Rourke, that will get the best out of them. He's won an All-Ireland with Watergrasshill Glen. He took Monaghan to as far as that county was willing to achieve as well. I know we're going off topic and stuff like that, talking about Tyrone's All-Ireland aspirations, but I think as the year goes on, Tyrone will definitely improve, and there's no doubt about that as well. And you look at Errigal Ciarán, the way they've put Tyrone football on the map at club level as well. I feel like Tyrone football, this could be the year of Tyrone football 2025. When you look at how well Errigal Ciarán are doing, the healthy situation the squad is in inter-county level, and the fact Malachy O'Rourke's come in, Tyrone are going to be a serious team to be looked at in 2025, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I certainly think so. I think Donegal will probably provide them with their toughest test. I think, I can see McGuinness just almost being a bit robotic about how he prepares his players, that he will just pick roles for certain players to do, and he'll be like, right, Owen Bon Gallagher, you're doing this role, Pádraig Morgan, you're doing this role, so that it almost doesn't matter the talent level, it's like the efficiency of the player in that position. And like Donegal had a load of players under McGuinness when they won in 2012 who weren't flashy at all, but they were just robust and they just got the job done. Like, and they were so reliable. Like, I'm talking players like Anthony Thompson, Ryan Bradley, Leo McClune, that like never really did anything flashy, but by God, they were fit, they were strong, they were absolutely ruthless in terms of their tackling and their hunger and their work rate. And they just got the job done. Tyrone right now do have a lot more marquee forwards, but I feel like McGuinness would be quite happy to have his 2 or 3 marquee forwards that Donegal have got, in Oisin Gallen and Paddy McBrearty and Michael Murphy now that he's back, even though they want to chuck him in goals apparently. And I think they'll be happy enough with that. They'll be like, yeah, that's grand. And like me personally, right now, call me crazy, I don't believe Murphy's going into goal. I think McGuinness is just messing with people. Like, I think he's just being like, yeah, throw this out there. Let's watch people lose their minds about Murphy going into goal. What does McGuinness know? All that type of thing. So we'll see. But personally, I think Murphy will be parked on the edge of the arc to take a few shots from outside for 2-pointers, or he'll be planted in the small square, ready for the ball to drop short and try and get a few goals like he did against Mayo back in 2012. Going back, though, to the All-Ireland Senior semi-final, of course, between Errigal Ciarán and Dr. Crokes. We mentioned about the key moment, obviously Joe Guz's goal, Darragh Canavan and Rory Canavan's performance. We do have to talk about who the key players were for Dr. Crokes, on the other hand, and why they deserve a huge shout-out in terms of their individual performances. The main ones that jumped out to me, Tony Brosnan, I thought was excellent. I thought as well, Brian Looney really impressed me from wing-back throughout the entire season. I thought Michal Burns was excellent as well, genuinely brilliant, and looked like he had kicked the game winner, obviously, up until Peter O'McCartan levelled it. The player who stood out to me the most from Dr. Crokes was Charlie Keating. I thought he was absolutely immense from wing-back, and then obviously the goal right at the end, which gave them some hope. But yeah, Dr. Crokes have been fantastic throughout the entire campaign. They broke East Kerry's stranglehold, it's fair to say, over the Kerry County Championship. And Pat O'Shea coming back in as manager, you know, it seems like he has a bit of a magic touch with this particular group. And they've had an outstanding year. They would have wanted to go the whole way, especially when they seen how the championship opened up for them without Glen, without Kilmacud, without Currafin, teams that have been here over the last few years. But they've still had an incredible year.
They have, yeah. And when you look at they won the county league, they won the club championship, the county championship, and then they won the Munster Championship as well over, I guess, to be honest, the Castlehaven team that were so good last season. I expected Castlehaven to really put up a test to Dr. Crokes, but the way Dr. Crokes, yes, Castlehaven had Brian Hurley sent off and Rory Maguire was injured and Damien Callahan didn't start, but Dr. Crokes still had to put them away. And I think that was one of their best performances of the year, and it set a precedent that they were going to go on a long run. And you look at the way they performed in Kerry, and I know it might seem they stopped East Kerry's stranglehold, but in fact it was Dingle that beat them in the semi-final, and that kind of opened it up for them. But the way they beat Dingle in not just the club final, but the county final, and that was the Dingle team that looked like the best club side in Kerry over the last few seasons. And we've been talking about the Kerry Club Championship, saying that the club champions, other than Dingle last year, to be fair, are a very good side. But you look at Ciarán Ciarán, he's Austin Sachs, you're thinking, how on earth did they get out of there? But you look at Dr. Crokes, they won everything this year but the All-Ireland. And they were unlucky against Errigal Ciarán. They were very, very unlucky. And most people could say, and most Errigal Ciarán fans were saying actually on X after the game, that they were in the game because of freeze, and the stats might show that. They scored, Errigal Ciarán scored 215 for play compared to Dr. Crokes 110 for play. But the way they got those frees, you have to give them a lot of credit for that. Tony Brosnan drawing fouls, Michal Burns doing the same, Charlie Keating, as he mentioned, and I seen him against Castlehaven in the Lewis Road in that Munster Club Championship game. I thought he was superb, and you could see why AFL is actually looking at this guy, and I think he'd be a main player for Kerry in the wing back role. I think give him the number 5. Well, then again, you have Brian O'Beogley there. Like he had an all-star season more or less last season. You have Gavin White there. Like, you're going to have tough options there for the Kerry team. But I think Charlie Keating could add something different into that Kerry panel. There's no doubt about that. And with more high fielding under these FRC rules, I think Charlie Keating would be definitely suited to that. So from Kerry's point of view, I think they'll be hoping to keep Charlie Keating in the islands for as long as possible and not go down the same route as Mark O'Connor or Killian Burke over the last few weeks. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens over that. But Dr. Crokes, they've been brilliant all year. But yeah, ultimately they came up against just a tougher opposition in Errigal Ciarán than they have over the last few weeks. And that was the end of their championship. But they should be very proud of their efforts throughout the whole season.
Yeah, no, well said. I think you nailed it when you said that, like, look, this year they were the best team in Kerry. I mean, that was definitely the vibe. I looked at Cairns last year, and not to be disrespectful or anything, but I looked at Cairns last year getting out of the club championship in Kerry, and I was like, yous aren't the best team in Kerry. Dingle are the best team in Kerry. Again, I know that Cairns obviously won that championship, but the fact that they lost 3 times in the county championship, I was like, how is this team going out as the champions when, 3 different teams in the Kerry County Championship have all beaten them? Like, how are they in the championship longer than, other county champions that got beaten in the, the preliminary round in Leinster, for example. But yeah, this season, there was no doubt about it. Dr. Crokes were the best team in Kerry. They doubled up, won both the championships, came out, won the Munster Championship, went through their own adversity. Now, there's no doubt about it. There were difficult games in there, and they definitely, walked through it with their head held high, passed with flying colours. Just came up against a brilliant Errigal Ciarán team in the semi-final. And when you look at the standard of this game versus the standard of the Coolera-Strandhill game, there's no doubt the standard in the Errigal Dr. Crokes game was of a higher level than the one in the Coolera, which I think will be interesting when we're trying to give a little mini prediction ahead of the All-Ireland Final, which of course is rapidly approaching, only 1 week away. Moving to the other All-Ireland semi-final. Cuala, 14 points. Coolera-Strandhill, 9 points. So this game took place after the Errigal Ciarán Dr. Crokes game. Of course, the TG Car, we had to start it on the live streaming on the player because of the extra time, which has happened quite a few times now over this club championship season that games have gone to extra time. But this game was very interesting, very topsy-turvy. I described this on my immediate reaction on the TikTok there for Unclair, because I was like, Cuala put themselves in a great position at halftime, leading by 6 points to 2. Then they quick fire rack off 4 points, and by the 40th minute, they're 10 points to 3 ahead. And then I was like, this is done. Wrap it up. This is done. There's no way Coolera get back into the game. And then out of nowhere, Coolera hit 5 points in a row. And some brilliant scores as well, by the way. Like scores from Doherty, the wing forward, who absolutely belted it over from distance. Niall Murphy hit a cracking score. Aidan Higgins got a lovely one. And all of a sudden, it's 10-8. And I'm like, where the hell has this been from Coolera for the last half hour? And then Niall O'Callaghan lands a hugely important score going into the final 10 minutes. Cuala, that kind of stops the momentum that Coolera-Strandhill had built up. Cuala managed out that last 10 minutes. Players like Conor O'Callaghan, Pádraig Byrne, Peter Duffy were all really strongly to the fore. And they got over the line in the end. And to quote you exactly, you said Cuala will either shade it or they'll win by 5 or 6. They won by 5. So I'll give you your flowers. Congratulations on the money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks for that, Séamus. But I think the thing that really let Coolera down was probably their attitude or their approach to the game in the first half. They kept the ball for long periods, kicked a few distasteful wides in many ways, but this would be a stat that actually proves my point more or less. In the first half, Coolera's shooting accuracy was 22%. In the second half, their shooting accuracy was 70%. You just look at that and you think,
wow,
why didn't they go for it in the first half more? Why did they shoot like they did in the second half, like they did in the first half? I think if they did that, they could have easily been closer to Cuala. There's no doubt about it. And I think like the fact they brought it back to 10-8, they brought it back as a close game as possible. I think Coolera themselves, I think it's been a brilliant run, and they were deserving kind of champions for the first time in their history. The club should be very proud of themselves, obviously, but I think they'll be kicking themselves at that first half performance, and they'll be thinking it's one that got away. And as for Cooley, it was a very good performance in the first half for as much as possible. I guess it was 66% shooting accuracy in the first half, 62% from play. They were very, very efficient in their shooting in the first half, not so much in the second half, but they just had enough in their ammunition to get over the line. And it was interesting in previous podcasts you were mentioning that Conor O'Callaghan hasn't really stood up for Cuala as much as the Canovans have, and that is the truth, in fairness, when you look at their performances here and there. But in this game, he had 100% shot accuracy, Con, and deservedly got the Man of the Match award from TG Carr. And even when you look at the amount he scored for Cuala, I'm look at the figure now from a Cuala point of view. I think he scored a lot compared to when you look at the Dublin Championship and the Leinster Championship combined. Going into the game, he scored 5 goals and 41 points for Cuala in the Championship. He scores 5 points obviously against Coolera, so that's 5 goals and 46 points across all the games. That's still a very high number for Con, and maybe that's because we expect such a high level of performance from Conor O'Callaghan. He isn't producing as much for Cuala, but in this game in particular, he really, really stood up, and you have to give him credit for that. But I think the game
big moments as well. Especially like going down the home stretch, I thought he was fantastic. And in terms of when Cuala really needed someone to step up and land the score, Con was usually the guy that did it.
Yeah, definitely. You look at if he performs that way in the final next week, I know we talk about Errigal having confidence in doing things consecutively, but if Con produces that performance, I think they have a serious chance next week. And his brother Niall as well. When is the last time we had this kind of conundrum, Séamus, when you look at the club final? You have a group of brothers in one forward line and then the group of brothers in the other forward line, the deadly duos. To be fair, for Cuala, Luke Keating is definitely up there in terms of scoring, but it's the O'Callaghans against the Canovans. Should be very interesting next week.
Certainly will be. I think you throw in the other players that either side has, like you have obviously Luke Keating on Cuala's side, you have Peter Hart on Errigal Ciarán's side, you've got Joe Goose raging forward for Errigal Ciarán along with Ben McDonald, then you've got Coffey Byrne and Peter Duffy raging forward for Cuala. Both clubs have had very similar trajectories, I would say. Both clubs have, like, I know that Errigal Ciarán obviously had won the Tyrone Championship before, but Cuala and Errigal Ciarán, it felt like both of them had been slightly underachieving given the talent that they undoubtedly possess. And this season, it's like both of them have smashed multiple glass ceilings that they had never done before. Like Errigal obviously winning the Ulster Championship, getting to the All-Ireland semi-final, getting to an All-Ireland final then. And Cuala have, smashed all the glass ceilings that they've never been able to get through. And now we're at the ultimate one. We're at the ultimate one where they're going to be coming up against each other to see who can really step into the history books. Because the harsh thing is while, yes, it will still be an incredible achievement and it will still be a season look back on fondly within the club, if they lose the final, nobody outside of that club is going to remember that they got there. Like, could you tell me who lost the All-Ireland Club Final in 2003 or 2004? But you could probably have a decent guess at who the winners were because you remember who the winners were. We remember the runs across McGlen. We remember the Cross Malina win in 2004. We remember the sensational win of St. Gall's in 2010. We remember Vincent's winning them in the 2010s as well. They won a couple. And you just do remember who were the clubs that got over the line, but you don't really remember the losers. And that's why this game is so important for both clubs. They get a chance to step into the record books. They get a chance to create, as you said, history. Regardless of which one of them wins, they get to become the first club team to ever win the All-Ireland Club Football Championship for their club. So it's a golden opportunity. But in this game, I think the other thing that I found as a crazy stat in this game was in the first half, Coolera had, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is off my memory, Coolera had 71% possession in the first half, and Cuala had 29% possession in the first half, yet Cuala still found themselves going in at halftime 6-2 up. And I don't know, because you were mentioning about Coolera, and having watched the game back, their wides were extremely frustrating. But what do you think? Was it poor shot selection? Was it nerves? What do you think?
I just think they hung on to the ball at stages for way too long. Like, I could hear even watching the game, some Cuala fans, Cuala ultras, if you want to put
Yeah,
it
yeah,
mildly,
yeah.
just cheering whenever the goalkeeper got the ball, or jeering,
They
should I
cheered.
say.
No, they jeered whenever Coolera passed the ball backwards.
Mm,
Whenever they
that
kind
was
of turned around mid-attack and kicked it back a decent amount, you hear, "Way!" Like as in, can't get through a
yeah.
defense.
Exactly, yeah. I'm trying to look at Colin Parkinson's tweet about possession and stuff like that. I think I see it out of the corner of my eye as well, about possession being the most useless stat in terms of, which is coincidentally a stat I don't track because it's so hard to track it in
Yeah,
general. But when Coolera had that amount of possession and they don't do it, I think a Limerick journalist, Tom Clancy, actually responded to that, saying that it depends really on their use of the ball.
it
Like,
depends what you do with it. Like you could have the ball 10% of the time. Like remember there was a famous game in football where Celtic beat Barcelona with 14% possession on the night or something, and they won 2-1. It's like no one gives a shit how much possession you have. No one cares. No one cares. And like I would look at Coolera in that regard and think, because I could never write this off. Haven't seen how Louth did it, haven't seen how Roscommon did it, haven't seen how multiple times multiple different teams have done it to Dublin at inter-county level, that you see that it's a very, very deliberate plan of like, we're just going to hang on to the ball as long as we can. We're just going to run the clock up, stay in the game as long as we can. Like Louth, every time Louth had the ball in that Leinster final, they hand passed it, slowed the game down, tried to hold on to the ball as long as they could, hoped that Dublin would foul them, let Sam O'Roy have a shot from wherever it was, like literally 50 metres out, let Sam have a go. And I respected the hell out of it. I was like, this is your best way to win this game. But the reality is Roscommon were kind of the first ones that I saw doing that very deliberately it wasn't the Super 8's, God, but the group stages. Remember the group stages, and Roscommon came to Croke Park and Dublin drew with them in the 2023 championship. By God, that was an awful game to watch. It was so boring. Like, and I respect it. You come up, you're not going to play open football or you'll probably get battered. So they did the right thing in terms of their approach to the game. But I feel like that showed a lot of teams that, look, if we just hang on to the ball, because then it was no wonder that the last 10 minutes were really, really exciting. The last 10 minutes, both of them threw the shackles off and were like, okay, let's go for it. And they were actually kicking the ball and attacking. But by God, mate, I will be so happy to see this possession football binned off. I never want to see another kick pass miles back to the goalkeeper. I never want to see teams hanging onto the ball. I never, ever want to see another bloke putting his hand up. We're going to keep the ball. Because me and you went to the Limerick and Cork game this year and the Clare and Cork All-Ireland Final. I didn't take my eye off the game, either of them, once. I also went to the All-Ireland Football Final. Everywhere around me, there were people going on their phone. There were people whipping out to go get a pint, come back. Have I missed anything? No, not really. You missed a free kick. Yeah, good riddance to possession football.
Exactly, yeah. I think the sooner we kind of erode it out of our game, the better. And I looked at this last year, and it was the Cork and Naomh game in Iskeen, and Cork were keeping the ball. And I actually tracked this on my stats, and because after the game, I was just thinking about it after the game. I'm thinking, how long did Cork keep the ball for those periods? There was possession periods in the game where Cork were keeping the ball for 4 or 5 minutes, and they did nothing with it. And it's like it's frustrating when it happens. And I think same thing happened against Derry in the All-Ireland quarter-final for Cork in 2023. They kept the ball for 5 minutes, and Stephen Charlotte then kicks the ball wide. What was the point of this? And I think I have to tweet now from Colin Parkinson about Coolera game. How many times have I said possession stats at GA are a waste of time? And Tom Clancy responded in, it's actually a great stat here to show how Strandhill haven't been able to create anything, possession for possession's sake. There you go. That's what it was. And I think Coolera once they started actually, coincidentally, when they started kicking the ball forward in the second half, they started to get more opportunities.
Well,
Then
they
that
actually went
increased.
that Coolera, like.
That's the thing, I think Kevin Kennedy mentioned this. So I absolutely agree with him on this. The GA Sports Tracker app, he owns on Twitter, I think it is. That's the handle. He says that the longer you keep the ball, the less likely you are to score. Actually, the less time you have the ball, the more likely you are to score. You look at Coolera in the first half; they were keeping the ball for 2-3 minutes. Then it was a harder opportunity, and they kicked the ball wide. You look at it in the second half. A Coolera player, let's say Kevin Banks, kicks the ball into Doyle Murphy. Fast play, turn your marker over the bar. See, that's what can happen. And I think that has to be a lesson this year for inter-county sides and for club sides later on in the year. Don't keep the ball for long periods of time because you reduce your chances of score. Because what happens is Cuala in this case drift back, maybe 12-11 men behind the ball, and say, yeah, this is grand.
Yeah.
You can have it. You can have the ball. And then it's number one, it's a boring game, and number two, you reduce your chances of scoring. So I think with these FRC rules, it might be the end of possession football because of the less men back. But hopefully I'm right, because we don't need possession football. We don't.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think it's a great point that you made there about it being a lose-lose. Because, like, I understood initially why possession football came into it. Dublin definitely were pioneers in terms of taking the sting out of the momentum that another team would have. Like, for example, the All-Ireland Final against Mayo in 2017, when Mayo were 1 point behind after the Dean Rock free, and Dublin hung on to the ball until the referee blew the final whistle. But then we saw it being evolved, like Louth and Roscommon, in games against Dublin and Croke Park, came up, hung onto the ball to stay in the game for as long as they could. And again, it's a strategy that makes sense. I respect it, but it's not entertaining. And a lot of fans don't find it particularly entertaining when teams play that way. But I understand, like, you want to stay in the game. However, in this game, it completely shot Coolera in the foot in the first half. As I was saying, 71% possession in the first half, and you go in at halftime with 2 points. Whereas Cuala, 29% possession, 6 points. And that you were saying there from the GA Sports Tracker app, like, that stat of, like, the longer you hold on to the ball, you are less likely to score. It made sense, especially in a game like this, because Cuala would just sit into their shell. They have players there in defence like Mick Fitzsimons, like Charlie McMorrow, excellent defenders. They know what you're going to do. There's nothing surprising about an attack that is built up really, really slow. And then in the second half, when they just kind of went for it and just had no fear towards Cuala and really went for their necks, all of a sudden they fired over 5 points in a row. As I said, brilliant scores. Doherty's one was fantastic. Niall Murphy's one was fantastic. You're thinking, see? They're not invincible. Go for them. Like, seriously, what have you been doing for the whole first half? And they have been outstanding this season, Coolera. But I feel like they will think, God, I wish we just went for it a bit more in the first half, in terms of that we weren't hanging onto the ball for ages before, being predictable with what the end result was going to be or what we would try to do. All in all, to recap it, possession football has been really boring, and I hope that when the new rules come in, that it's just a relic of the past, that it's something like that we look on like cynical fouling, for example, like the Sean Kavanagh pull down on Conor McManus, that we'll look at it and be like, it was a way bigger problem back then. And the reason I'm comparing it to that is we still do see cynical fouling, but it doesn't feel like the epidemic that it was in 2013. It felt like you couldn't go to a match without seeing a cynical foul. Over the last couple of years, it felt like if you go to 3 Gaelic football matches, one of them will be good, one of them will be all right, and the other one will be boring as hell. So thankfully, we're getting change in 2025. But the Dr. Crokes Errigal Ciarán game was a nice way to leave it. It's going to be Cuala against Errigal Ciarán in the All-Ireland Club Final. We will have a full weekend preview coming up for that. So do be sure to tune in on the Thursday night. We'll be here previewing that game. Then the All-Ireland Intermediate Club Hurling Final, Watergrasshill 215, Tynagh-Abbey Duniry 18 points. This game was thrilling going down the home stretch, especially. I mean, the highlights are up on YouTube. If you haven't seen them, go have a look at Sport TG Car. The highlights are already up for this game. We were saying there, obviously, right down the home stretch, the sides are trading hugely influential scores right up until Captain Fantastic steps up for Watergrasshill, slots it in the net. My question to you, Matthew, is if you were Redmond, would you have gone for it?
With the form he was in, probably, yeah. I'd put it that way. Look at Sean Desmond's stats across the season for Watergrasshill. He scored 5 goals across the Cork Championship and the Munster Championship and the All-Ireland Series. He was always going to go for that. He was going to go for it. There was no doubt in his mind that he was going to go for that chance. And especially when the gap opened up for him. Let's call it a spade, Seamus. It was a lucky bounce. It was a lucky bounce. The guy set him on his way. There's no doubt. And yeah, look at the stat here: 5 goals and 15 points coming into this final from play for Sean Desmond, and he scored a lot more for Emo Kelly as well in the Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship as well. So the divisional side, of course. So his confidence was going to be high, and he was going to take that opportunity. And I think if I had his confidence and his scoring stats, I was going to do the same thing. Spare it, and put the game to bed like a good forward should do. And I think he's in the shop window for a Cork call-up. There's no doubt about that. He is a really, really good hurler. And most of these Watergrasshill lads will be putting their hands up for Cork, even though Cork are in a very good position, much like Tyrone in football. In terms of depth, Cork hurling is in a very, very good place at the moment. But I would have stuck it if I was Sean as well. But I'm saying at start that if I was any other forward, with let's say no goals coming into this final, he probably would have popped it over the bar. But the fact that Sean had 5, I think he was going to take it. And it was a brilliant finish.
Yeah, certainly. I wouldn't have stuck it because I'm shy of hurling. But I probably would have missed the pickup. But it was a brilliant finish by Sean and Captain Fantastic, especially down the home stretch. And look, this game was really, really entertaining. 2 very, very well-matched teams. And right from the start, Tynagh-Abbey landed that huge score, which, 10 seconds into the game, they're already 1-0 up. And it was just score for score throughout the entire contest. You were mentioning Adam Murphy's performance. Obviously, one player in the match, he was absolutely hugely influential. He landed some huge scores from out around the centre of the field. What do you think were the key metrics? Obviously, the goal is the final nail in the coffin. But what do you think were the key things that Watergrasshill did well to help them get into the position where obviously that goal did get them over the line?
I think maybe their tenacity around the pitch. I thought Darragh O'Leary again was absolutely brilliant from centre back for Watergrasshill. It's a shame he won't play for Cork this year because he's actually a guard up in Kildare. But maybe Brian Dowling from Kildare would get on the phone to Darragh because I think he's a really, really good hurler. We talked about Fiona McKessie going from Kerry to Kilkenny. There's no reason why Kildare can't snap up Darragh O'Leary. And I think he definitely boost their chances of doing well in the Joe McDonagh Cup next year if Brian Dowling gives him a call. He's a very, very good hurler. And I think he was exceptional throughout the middle of the park. I think Adam Murphy, his ball playing skills was brilliant. Obviously, at centre forward, scored 1-5 from play. The shooting accuracy wasn't great, actually, 50%, but they had a lot more chances than Tynagh. Their shooting accuracy was 72%, 78% from play. You still lose the final with those shooting accuracies. It's absolutely exceptional in its own right. But it shows you how much chances Watergrasshill had. And they were probably just shading just the better side throughout the day when you look at the opportunities that they did have. Like Watergrasshill had 34 opportunities, Tynagh had 25. So they were probably the best side when you look at it from an opportunity standpoint as well. I thought their puck-out strategy was really good. 840, he's part of the Emo Kelly panel as well. I would just take the winning mentality more than anything because I looked at the programme there from the Premier Senior Final between Emo Kelly and Stars. Emo Kelly obviously won. Out of that Emo Kelly squad, Watergrasshill had 7 players in that. They had 3 players that started: Sean Desmond, Adam Murphy, and Darragh O'Leary. All started in that final against Stars. So they have a winning mentality, those Watergrasshill players, and they did well in the Premier Intermediate Championship in Cork. And the way they were blitzing teams up until this final showed that they meant business going into this final. And yeah, it was a really good result. Tynagh had a good run to the final as well. But I felt like the way Watergrasshill were putting away sides and the way they won the Cork Championship as well, and the way Kelly won the Premier Senior Championship out of the divisional side, I felt like that gave the confidence for Watergrasshill to go on and win this. I really did. It was a really good win from them. And yeah, it was just an exceptional display. I think that was what really won it. I think the winning mentality of the whole panel got them over the 7 players in particular. But that kind of rubs off the rest of the team then. That they gave them the confidence to go on and do things after that as well. So yeah, it was a good win for Watergrasshill. I just think the winning mentality was the big thing for them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Massive congratulations as well to Watergrasshill. And if you haven't seen it, go have a look at that trophy lift, obviously from Sean Desmond. That's one of my personal favourites. He really did soak it up and then lift the cup. Absolutely fantastic to see. Now moving to the All-Ireland Junior Club Hurling Final as well. St. Lachtains from Kilkenny, 118. Russell Rovers from Cork, 16 points. Again, a very interesting and intriguing All-Ireland Club Hurling Final. St. Lachtains deserving winners in this one, though, I think it's fair to say, overall.
Yeah, I just think they had better shooting accuracy throughout the game. They had really, really good players. Throughout the pitch, they had more ever scoring spread as well. Like you look at their scores for play, like St. Lachtains scored 115 for play, Russell Rovers scored 9 points for play. And that just proved that Lachtains were just the better side on the day. And that's the second time in a row now that a Kilkenny club champion has won the junior championship after Tulloch or Roscorbin last year. Obviously, they had Walter Walsh in their team. St. Lachtains had Darren Brennan in their team, and he produced a very good display of goalkeeping. Obviously, he's been behind Owen Murphy for so many seasons now. He might have played a few league games, but he had his day out in the sun today. Really good display. Obviously, James Maher had a good display as well, a former Kilkenny player. Colleague, he was very good. Alexander Rafter, Shea Donnelly, like they were very good, in fairness. St. Lachtains, like I'm looking at their different scores. I think they had 12 different scores today, which proved for a junior side is a really, really good stat to have. Yeah. That you had players all over the pitch stepping up, and really good display from them. They're intermediate champions a long time ago as well in the All-Ireland, so they've one of a few clubs to win intermediate and junior All-Ireland championships, which is brilliant to see from that point of view as well. Look, it was a very good win from St. Lachtains. They deserved to win. Russell Rovers have had a brilliant season. Probably wouldn't have been many people's top picks to win the Cork Premier Junior Championship at the start of the season. They won that. They got to the final with relative ease this year as well. They just came up short against the better team. St. Lachtains were really, really good. They were sharp throughout and deserving winners.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think looking at the game, especially the composure, first of all, that Darren Brennan was bringing to the team from goal, kind of fitting as well that, he got the final shot, like his point went over, and then that was that. He was absolutely exceptional between the sticks, and you were right as well. Like, you're looking at players like John Maher out the field, and players that definitely brought a lot to the side, former Kilkenny players and everything like that. They were the better team, and obviously, they come out of the Kilkenny Junior Championship, which isn't easy to do. Kilkenny have had a bit of a track record now of players playing for certain clubs in the junior and intermediate. And you're like, how the hell is he playing at this level? Like from Walter Walsh to the Donnelly brothers. But yeah, at it again with Darren Brennan between the sticks in the junior championship. Not bad going. But yeah, massive congratulations to St. Lachtains, the All-Ireland Junior Club Hurling Champions of 2024/25. And the last game from the weekend that we're going to have a quick look at is the All-Ireland Junior Club Football semi-final. Naomh Pádraig of Donegal, 113, Kilmurry 210. And after extra time, that is, with Naomh Pádraig winning 3-1 on penalties when it's all said and done. So Naomh Pádraig are into the final where they will join up against An Chatharua from Galway. That's going to be an interesting final. I mean, we've had 2 semi-finals now go right down to the wire. An Chatharua literally couldn't have done it in a more dramatic fashion. Now they will clash with Naomh Pádraig in the All-Ireland final in Crokes.
Yeah, should be a good final to look forward to. Naomh Pádraig have some brilliant players like Caelan Bacalgan, obviously from Donegal, and Jonathan Toy from centre back. Did a bit of work on this game, obviously, for the Southern Star. Obviously, Kilmurry are near the area, so I had an interview with their manager during the week. They were looking forward to this. It was a big occasion for the club, obviously. They got the early goal, and you were thinking, and even in extra time, they got the goal, and you were thinking, Kilmurry have this. And Naomh Pádraig, to be fair to them, they trapped back into the game. They got ahead through that penalty towards the end. but then Kilmurry raced back and got the equalising score to take at the penalties. This will hurt Kilmurry. Obviously, they've won the Munster Championship. Fair play to them against Fieries. Obviously, the context behind this is unbelievable. Fieries are the 25th best team in Kerry. Kilmurry are the 49th best team in Cork. The mat isn't matting there, but Kilmurry managed to win that Munster final. And that was a brilliant win for them. They'll be disappointed in this, though. They had a few opportunities to win the game, and they just couldn't get over the line. Naomh Pádraig, I said it before the game, this side is a very, very good team. From Donegal, Cale McColgan, obviously, as I mentioned there, is a top inter-county player, not just an inter-county player, he's a really, really good one at that. So it was going to be a difficult game for Kilmurry. They just didn't have enough to get over the line. It was unfortunate, but they had 3 black cards from what I was hearing in this game, Kilmurry. I was watching out the corner of my eye, so like to get 3 black cards and to take at the penalties, that's an achievement in itself. But Naomh Pádraig got over the line. It was a very good game overall, a very thrilling game, a thrilling encounter. And ultimately, Naomh Pádraig will play at Caparoo. And it's down on the website as the 25th of January, that final in Croke Park. But I'm looking at it, Dublin Hurlers are playing Antrim on the same day in the same ground, and the Dublin Footballers are playing Mayo in the same day on the same ground. Is this going to be a triple header?
Staff would be happy with that. Oh my lord, 3 games. Look, they've done it before, obviously with the LGFA finals and everything like that. Maybe we can do it again. Yeah, look, that would add a bit of a spectacle as well to the league as well, to have an All-Ireland club final on the same day. I mean, that would be a wonderful opener to it, and definitely, would give the fans as well something else to see with that game. Although in terms of importance, I think that probably should be the final game of the day. I mean, it is a national trophy up for the grabs, and I think personally it should just be on the same day as the All-Ireland finals. I know that they've had the semi-final this week. Maybe it's not fair that on Caparoo get an extra week break compared to Kilmurry, but I would be more in the boat of put it on the same day as the All-Ireland football final and the All-Ireland hurling final. Although maybe that would have to be quite early, which I would then understand as well, the counter-argument to that. But yeah, that is the weekend recap here, guys. We ran through all of the games which took place over this weekend. Do get involved in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts were. Thank you to everybody who tuned in over the course of the last hour. Thanks to Matthew again for jumping on for another episode. We will be back, as I said, on Thursday with a weekend previewing the All-Ireland Club Finals of 2024/25, who will be the champions this season. Until then, take care.